the name Arletta Allen, I guarantee you that this is a name that you will not forget. Arletta has such a profound story of how she overcame so much in her life to become a motivational and inspirational keynote speaker, workshop facilitator, a professional speaking coach and trainer, TEDx speaker, so much more. But also, the core of her work has to do with trauma recovery. She is an expert in that and a healing strategist because this woman's life is definitely something that could be turned into a movie. And it is an honor to have her as our guest on the Power Transformation Podcast. And I welcome you to the show. I am your host, Alethea Felton. Thank you so much for joining me. Arletta and I are a part of a phenomenal entrepreneurial networking group, and I've had the honor of getting to know her over time. And just simply with her story, it's more than just a story, it's a testimony. And so she is definitely someone that you don't want to miss this episode. We're going to jump right into it. And again, I thank you, especially to those of you who may be brand new. Thank you. Don't forget to go ahead and follow the Power Transformation Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And also, you all, we have a YouTube channel now. I am gradually building it, but we are still in the top 5% of audio podcasts globally. So in order to keep that ranking up and to get it into the top 2.5%, which is my next goal, I need you to go ahead and follow, but also share this show with as many people as you know. I will tell you, share this episode with 5 people that you know. We're going to jump right into this interview. But first, we are going to say our affirmation. We are going to speak those things as if they are. So I'm going to say this affirmation once and you repeat it. I utilize the power of my words to uplift, support, and assist those who may benefit from my insight. It is such an honor today to have Arletta Allen here on the Power Transformation Podcast. Welcome, Arletta.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you, Alethea.
Thank you. I am so thrilled to have you. And for everybody listening or watching this, Arletta is definitely, oh my gosh, a transformation story like none other. She is the epitome of what a power transformation is all about. I have the honor of knowing her through a particular entrepreneurial circle, and we know other people in common. And the world is really small, and so that's why it pays to treat people right because you never know who will know whom. But Arletta, I want us to jump into this interview because you have so much depth and experience, but also in terms of what you do to help others. But prior to us doing that, let's just have a fun icebreaker question. So this is my question for you, Arletta. Growing up, what was one of your favorite childhood games that you like to play?
Let's say red light, green light, because it was like we lived in the projects in Yazoo City, Mississippi, and there was this big old open space in between how the buildings were like lined up. So all the kids from all the different areas and different apartments would come through and gather in this one spot. And there'll be a couple adults at one end. There'll be a lady on the side selling sherry cups and pickles and picnics and all types of stuff in them little box candies. She be waiting on the side for us to give her quarter. And we just out there playing until we drop. But red light, green light, because the adults kind of controlled it, but the kids always had the best outcome. So I always had the opportunity to win. I loved winning, even back then.
Indeed. I like that. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, it's literally, I played it growing up too. It's literally a game where it says red light, green light, and at green light is when you can go. You can move forward ahead. You can walk. A lot of the kids where I live like speed walk, speed walk. But you're supposed to walk and then red light, you have to stop. And if you move, you're out, so
Yes.
so much fun. So yes, I
Zero
can
movement. You
relate to
gotta
that.
freeze.
Yes, yes, uh-huh. Freeze, exactly. Yes, yes, yes,
Yes.
freeze. You had to freeze in that position. That's right.
Yep. And somebody saw your arm or your leg move, they're like, oh, ow.
Exactly, exactly. And some of you may know that from a Netflix show. What's it called? Squid Games or something like that, where it's a lot more morbid, but they have that game in it. But thank you for
Yeah.
actually bringing it up and for you to say you've always wanted to win. So
Mhm.
we'll talk more about that really soon. But suppose that somebody was just walking down the street and that they didn't know that you are who you are. And they said, "Hey, I've heard a little something about this person named Arletta Allen. What do you know about her? Who is Arletta Allen?" How would you respond?
I would say Arletta Allen. Arletta Allen has been through hell with gasoline underwear on, and she lived to tell the story. This
Mm,
woman has been through things that was designed to break her, but instead, by the grace of God, they made her. Arletta Allen is not one who gives up easily, but she believes in laying her life down to influence, impact, encourage, and uplift somebody else. Arletta had a number of adversities that took place in her life that caused her to defy the odds, and now she just wants to spend her life teaching other people how to do what worked for her. So
mhm.
that's what I would say about Arletta. She was born to be somebody special in the world.
Wow. So that right there, born to be someone special in the world, and you're often known for your authenticity and
Mhm.
how you show up in the world, how you help people as well. So let's talk about that. When you hear a person saying authenticity or be authentic, and in 2024, in a lot of cases, in my opinion, it's become a buzzword, but you've used that for years
Mhm.
prior to it becoming trendy. So you really know what it means. But when you hear the word authenticity, what does it mean for you to be authentic, Arletta?
For me, it means self discovery because
Mm,
a lot of people who claim authenticity have no idea what it truly means to be authentic. A lot of people know the textbook label, they know what the meaning is, but the truth is that our frame of reference and how we grew up culturally, the area we grew up in, all those things influence who we are and how we see ourselves. Because I grew up in an area that was predominantly 98% white people and no one looked like me, I struggled a lot of time with the sense of belonging. In other
mm,
words, I lost myself in normative conformity, a willingness to do just about anything just to fit in, just
mm,
to be accepted by those who didn't look like me. They felt like I didn't look like them, but I felt like they didn't look like me. You know what I'm saying? And so I learned to depreciate the value of who I was at a very young age. And so I spent a number of time in self-discovery trying to unlearn things about Arletta that just weren't true. Because people told me there was something wrong with my hair because it was coily and we called it nappy. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And so I figured that was okay, there was something wrong with it. So I started learning ways to wear my hair that didn't influence my culture at all. But that's because I
Mhm,
was told over and over again there had to be something wrong with it, or I had people touching me or wanting to feel my hair because they weren't familiar with me
mhm,
as an individual. They wanted to explore using me. And I was never comfortable with that. I lost
mhm.
myself trying to become what I felt that everybody else wanted me to be. And so when
Wow.
I discovered her, I vowed to never let her go. And I actually love the chick too. I love Arletta. She's a pretty
That's
dope
right.
chick. And so I'm just like,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm cool on being me. Y'all do you. I'm gonna do me. And so I think authenticity really just goes back into you discovering who you are, owning who you are unapologetically.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that in terms of owning who you are. Also, what I heard in that implication was you not conforming to who others wanted you to be. And so in your knowing yourself as being authentic, or even being coined as the authenticity queen,
Mhm.
and how you know that it's an ingredient for overcoming shame,
Mm.
self-sabotage, etc. Let's go back a little bit, and then we'll lead up to more in terms of who you are professionally
Mhm.
and what you do. But share with us, you told us a little bit about your upbringing and your childhood, but take us back to your upbringing and childhood. Tell us about your upbringing, where you were raised, of course, but what was your family life like? And then
Mm.
share with us something in your childhood that was a significant influence in your journey from trauma into triumph.
Mm. Well, what I will say is I grew up in the household that no one likes to talk about.
Hmm.
In the professional world, it is so easy for people to learn the mask, to operate so much so in the mask that they don't even know who they are anymore because there's such shame attached to their frame of reference and where they come from and how they were raised. My story is no different. I grew up in a household with a single mom. My dad was around, but not around. And when he did come around, he was terribly abusive.
Mm.
My dad suffered from PTSD before it became a thing, before they coined it a term. And so my
Okay.
dad got out of the army and he wreaked havoc badly. I mean, he would beat my mom to a bloody pulse right there in front of us, but he didn't stop with her. He would beat us too. And I recall um, learning all the things that love was not in
Mm-hmm.
my house, but not learning until a much later age that that wasn't love. And that's not how
Mm.
love was supposed to look like. So I
Mm-hmm.
built foundationally my life and the choices that I made derived from the lack of love in the element of what I called home and family. Um, my dad, although he wasn't always the epitome of what I thought a dad should be, I loved him. I
Mm.
loved him so much. And I can't even tell you, even through the beatings, the breakings, the breakdown, I love my dad unconditionally. In my eyes, although it was wrong how he handled us, it was wrong how he beat us, it was wrong what he did to my mom and all those things. And yeah, in everybody's eyes, he deserved punishment for what he did. In my eyes, as his daughter, I just wanted his love and his validation. And
Mm.
so all I wanted was him. And I learned that no matter how much you may pour yourself and be desperate for something, sometimes people can't pour from an empty cup. I learned that my dad could not give me what he didn't house within. And my dad grew up in a family where there was terrible abuse too. And he
Mm.
simply continued the cycle. He just continued the cycle. Abuse was when a woman stepped out of place, she got knocked back in place. And so my dad did the same thing to my mom that he watched his dad do to his mom, which is
Mm.
also my namesake. Her name's Arletta Maple. God rest her soul. I
Oh,
love my grandma. But
wow.
but that's the household that I grew up in. A mom always scared, but one who was creative and would always know what to do to make a whole lot of nothing into a whole lot of something because we was dirt poor. We didn't have what they call a pot to piss in or a window to throw it
Window
out
throw it
of.
out of,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? We didn't have
Uh-huh.
nothing, roach infested area. No matter how much you clean, the place was just compiled with roaches, stomping your clothes in the bathtub to get them clean and hanging them out. We didn't have washing machines and dryers and all that stuff back then. So I grew up learning how to utilize what was right in front of me. And so
Mhm.
I've never been one who was all about riches and all about money. I'm still not to this day. I don't care for money or riches like that. What I do care for is living a life that is comfortable and one that teaches my sons, which I have 5 sons, teaching them that that's not how life has to be, that they have a choice. They can choose to be derived something different no matter
Mhm.
what their background is. And so
Now,
a little bit
now,
about me.
now, let me ask you this question, because I think that you say something so powerful and profound that maybe others can't wrap their mind of totally around. In spite of the abuse, the environment, the drama, the trauma, the conflicts, all of that, you still said at the end of the day, you still
Love
had
him.
love for your father. You still loved him. Arletta, how did that happen? How did you still, in the midst of your pain, find a way to still love? Tell us about the root of that.
If I could be just like completely honest with
Yes,
you, and
please,
I'm
please
telling you, I
be.
don't know any other way to be no way, I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you this. A lot of people struggle with unforgiveness, and a
Hmm.
lot of people hold on to things that don't serve them. I've been blessed because God gifted me with a heart that doesn't hold animosity. Like I've had struggle conversations with God because I wanted to be angry and I couldn't hold it.
Hmm.
I've looked at him and I've looked up and I've said, why? Why can't I be mad too? Because the natural emotion would be that I would grow a hatred towards my father for what he did to me and what he did to my mama and what he did to my siblings. That would be the natural response. But in me, I could not hold it. Like it was like the beating would take place at 7 o'clock, and by 7:30, Arletta would be asking daddy if he needed a glass of water.
Hmm.
Like, and it hurt my soul that I was like that. I was resentful towards me for having a heart that couldn't not forgive.
Hmm.
I um I just don't have the capacity to hold hatred in my heart.
And how did that trauma, even though you had the love, did it manifest in any behaviors? Meaning that in order to escape the pain or to try to create a new reality for yourself away from that trauma, did you did you participate in any things that were beneficial for you, or did it kind of take you and draw you back into this downward spiral?
I feel because of the lack of validation and my search for a sense of belonging, because I never found that at home. I never
Hmm.
found that in my dad. So as much as I would reach for his love and his approval, he never had that to offer me. And I think as I grew a little bit older, the way that it came out was my attachment in unhealthy relationships. So I
Mm,
would search for that validation in the men that I would be with. I would long for somebody to want to secure me. I would long for somebody to just love just me. I would
mm,
long for somebody to cling to me, want me, know me, love me, and make me the center of everything that there was, because I just for once wanted to feel what love really felt like. I really
yeah.
felt like I hadn't experienced it yet. And so because I didn't get that validation, that approval
Mm,
from my dad, I think it put like a hole in me. Like I leaked everywhere I went. And you could almost sense a desperation. And even the poor relationships I got into, the poor relationship choices, I believe that a lot of that derived from just my sense and frame of reference from how I grew up.
mhm,
Just
mhm,
not having enough of that love and attention caused me to seek for it in all the wrong places, which also eventually landed me as a 15-year-old prostitute that
wow.
eventually landed me also exploited for an entire year. And then even into my 16 years old, I had my first baby. And so I became a teen mom with a child that I didn't even know who the father was, because I was that
Mhm.
promiscuous and that forth looking for someone to love me.
Where was that turning point? When was that point where you said, I'm going to choose to make the best out of my life? I don't have to be my past. I don't have to be my pain.
Mm.
What was that catalyst or even that launch pad that got you there? And did you have people helping you along the way?
Well, sadly enough, the turning point for me didn't come until years down the road. And
Interesting. Okay.
it didn't start when I was young, and the babies, they kept coming, and I kept getting married, and I kept getting in bad relationships where I was repeating the cycle of what I witnessed at home. So my first marriage was one that was very abusive,
Mm,
and he was suffering from alcoholism, and I was poorly treated. And in the midst of it, I'm trying to hold on to God, and he holding on to the bottle, and I was suffering. My babies were suffering. I got out of that one and jumped right out the fire into the frying pan.
frying pan.
right back into another relationship where
Wow.
I didn't have no kids with this man, but loved him, loved him, loved him, but still suffered enormous abuse behind choosing for myself. And so somewhere in the midst of there, as my babies kept coming, there was a turning point where I got to my lowest low. And it was when I was working at the bank and I was counting millions for everybody else. And I had a career working in the banking industry for over 14 years and living in a predominantly white area. I was the very first woman of color to serve in a financial institution in history in this community. And so
Wow.
because of that, I I ended up sitting with my children one day, trying to make a whole lot of something out of nothing, just like my mama taught me. And I remember the look in their faces because I was scraping just to get by. It didn't
Mm,
matter that I was working 40 plus hours a week. When you making minimum wage and you count millions for others all throughout the day, like I had thousands of dollars passing through my fingers
mm,
every day, but none of it belonged to me. I was a bank
mm.
teller, so I was making deposits for major organizations. I'm talking about they pocket in bags full of thousands, armored trucks coming in with millions of dollars on the truck from the reserve, but not none of it belonged to me. And I figured like this: if education could do it for all these people that I was servicing in that bank, if they could have thousands upon thousands to deposit to secure their families and start these businesses and take care of themselves, who said that I wasn't eligible to be able to participate too?
That's right.
Why did
Yeah.
I have to only have what I saw? And so, for lack of betterment, crazy as it may sound, only a month later, I actually quit my job. I put in my 2 week notice and I enrolled in college. I went to
Mm.
college, the first college graduate in my family.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh
And
my goodness.
finished it.
Talk about a leap of faith.
Man, listen, I did it and I worked inside the college. So they had like a fresh start program inside the college where you could work at the front desk in student success during the day, and you could take classes at night. And then you could barter your classes during the day, take a half a day of work and then a half day of classes, and then be home with your family in the evening. Girl, I hustled for 6 years straight.
So this gets me to wonder this. I know over the years, over those 14 years, you saw so much in that banking industry,
Yes.
but share with us that straw that broke the camel's back moment where you said, no, this is it. Like, I'm going to apply for school. I'm going to quit. I'm going to do that. Take us to that moment where you said, enough is enough.
It was right before that month break that
Mm,
happened. It was the time I was sitting at the table with my children and preparing a meal out of little to nothing, noticing
mm,
and reflecting on the fact that I had been counting thousands of dollars for somebody else that day. Because
yeah.
I wasn't just a teller, I was the vault teller. So I was a senior
Oh,
vault teller. So I was entrusted with tellers underneath me. And I was still making minimum wage and still count thousands of dollars and doing deposits for other
mm,
people. And I had nothing. I would get off of work from holding all that money all day and go home to nothing. And I got tired of looking at my babies' faces. I got
mhm.
tired of not even having enough food stamps to get from one end of the month to the next.
Wow.
Being on being on government assistance, but still holding a full-time job and you still can't make ends meet for you and your
Mm,
kids. Why? Because the husband's incarcerated or and now we're divorced and we're no longer seeing each other. And I'm in between and it's just me and my babies and mama got to make something happen. I got tired. I got
mm,
tired of disappointment. I got tired of feeling like I was failing as a mom. I got tired of like, when's my time gonna come? When will
mhm,
I be able to make deposits too? When we gonna own a home? I'm seeing all these people. I mean, they rich people. They got it
mhm.
like that. They don't look like me. You know, I'm the only black something working in there. And I suffered abuse behind that too. I would have customers come in and I mean call me all sorts of names. There was customers that refused to come to my window because of my color.
Wow.
Period. And I got mishandled so bad living in Wisconsin. I'm telling you, it's not easy. But even in the midst of that type of adversity, I still wanted more. I could
Yes.
see that there was an opportunity there for me to have more. And I just leaped
Mm,
seamlessly. I didn't need to see anything. There was something on the inside of me that said there has to be more than what's in front of me.
Mm.
And I just went.
And you went and you haven't stopped since. And that is the thing about it, Arletta, is that you have literally transitioned your trauma into triumph and you do so many other things with it. And so you chose to not be a victim of self sabotage. You chose to not use your background as an excuse for anything else that you wanted to do in your life. And so that leads me to this point is you are known in multiple ways, but you are known for your voice, for your
Mhm.
speaking, for your empowerment platform, and so much more. So take us to the point, Arletta, where you decided to find and use your voice for
Mhm.
good. And then share with us exactly what you do in that space. Tell us about
Well,
that.
it goes back to the part where you asked if there was a mentor, if there was somebody along the way that
Mm-hmm.
kind of helped you. So after I took that leap, I had to lean in.
Mm-hmm.
I took the leap of faith to go out there and do something different, to go to college, something I had not ever done before. And let me put a caveat on that. I went to college and failed. I dropped out,
Oh.
had a couple more babies, went back to college and failed. Dropped out again, had one more baby, went back to college, and then graduated.
Okay.
So
Hey.
I mean, I might look like a spring chicken, but I'm not a spring chicken. I'm not young, okay? So I've been around the bend and I've had some things happen. And in the midst of it, um, I found success in my own way. But like you said, there's always angels along the way to help you to get where you got to go. And then for me, it was my college mentor. His name was Rob Hireman, and he was the communications facilitator and instructor for
Mm.
one of my courses in college. And when I walked into his room, he told me, he said, "Kid, you got sparks flying from your ASS or whatever." And I
Uh-huh.
was just like, "What?" And he was telling me that he says he meets a person like me once every 10 years or so. And he had already been teaching for like 25 plus years then.
Wow.
So, I mean, he'd been teaching for a hot minute. He just retired just a few years ago. But
Okay.
anyhow, he told me that. And he said that I was going to be somebody special in the world someday, which aligned with what I felt inside. I just didn't know how to get there. You ever had this moment where somebody tells you who you are before you know who you are?
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
That instructor, he told
Mm-hmm.
me I was going to be somebody so amazing, but he says I was going to bring transformation for other people.
He's spoken to your life.
He spoke into my life, but he didn't do just that. He followed up. And one thing I'll tell you about the difference between a mentor and also a person who's an advocate for you is that not only do they speak life into you, but they create opportunities for you to be seen and to be heard and position you for what they spoke over you. And so this mentor found out that they were having a celebration dinner for graduation. And he put my name in the hat as a student.
Wow.
And he says, "You need to tell our shareholders who you are and how you became." He says, "Because I don't believe they would believe you if you told them." And I did that one speech, 30 minutes, and got a standing ovation in front of the entire college. And I also became student of the year that year
Mm.
and graduated top of my class, started with a 2.23 GPA, ended the school year with a 3.98.
Wow.
I went ham. Like all the things I was told that I couldn't be, not smart, you never make it, you never have all those things. I defied so many odds. And that's why it's so important for me to continue to do the things that I do today because it's the essence of who I am. So he
Mm-hmm.
changed my life by putting me in the right room and putting me in the right position. When I got in that room and that standing ovation happened, I went and sat down with other colleagues from other colleges that were in the area, and they began to say, "Are you a speaker? Have you ever considered
Mm-hmm.
speaking or sharing your story on on different platforms or maybe encouraging other students who maybe come from a diverse background like you and maybe need some encouragement or for maybe even like getting rid of retention and helping kids not to
Mm-hmm.
drop out of college and keep on going." It was them. They poured that into me. And when they said it, it resonated. And I've been her ever since.
Wow.
I believed him for what he said.
That's
And he
right.
told me, he said, if there's ever a time where you stop believing in you, he said, you can always borrow my belief. He said, because I know it to be true.
Mhm.
And I haven't stopped believing.
You haven't stopped believing, you haven't stopped leading, you haven't stopped using your voice, and more importantly, you haven't stopped teaching others how to do the same. So,
Right.
how did you decide to come into this realm of actually coaching speakers and share overall with us? What is your speaking platform? Meaning, do you have a specific target audience? Do you
Mhm.
talk on certain things? Share with us who Arletta Allen is in this world of speaking.
Well, in the world of speaking, I love to speak for nonprofits and organizations that are for poverty eradication. And
Mm,
so nationwide, there's these community action agencies, and I'm hired all year round to come in all over the country. And usually, as either a statewide conference keynote speaker, as their keynote, I come in and I inspire and uplift the frontline workers who work with vulnerable communities. So, those who come from places just like where I was born,
mhm,
where they don't have enough, but they need a spark of hope and they need something that says that someday I could possibly become self sufficient. So that's what I do. I tell my story from poverty and prostitution to the pinnacle of prosperity. So that is
mm,
my signature talk and keynote on Define the Odds. And then what really sparked me for my platform, which is authentically amplified coaching services, is because of what I noticed being in these networking circles and being in the industry. There was a lot of people who have a story. Everyone has one, and everyone has a turning point. The problem was is that they were aiming to speak for the wrong audience, so they couldn't take what they had gone through and be able to package it in a way where they would be called to stages that were relevant to them. Instead, they were making their message for everyone, and then they were
uh-huh,
missing everyone and not creating the opportunities that they felt like they deserved and desired. And so, because I saw it clear as day what the problem was, the reason why I work so well for community action is because it resonates with me. It's my superpower because I actually have been poor and I've also made multiple six figures. I've been from the low end all the way to the high end. I know what it's like to not know what it means to actually own a home and only see people rent and sleep on dirt floors. I
mm,
understand that. So I don't talk to people from what I read out of a book. I speak to
that's
people from
right.
my experience and what God truly, truly helped me to overcome in my life. And I never, never share a platform where I don't get a chance to talk about the God that brought me through because I did not
Mhm,
make it on my own. I could have just been a statistic, but God said,
mhm,
no, He wanted me as a beacon of light, a beacon of hope to inspire others to find their path and find their path to transformation. And so I
yeah,
do that for other speakers too, because their story should be heard. And there's somebody always waiting up the road, waiting to hear from them that need what they have to offer.
yes,
Nothing they've suffered is for naught. It will be used and can be used, but they have to know how to do it, which is why I created the Anchor Advantage method, which teaches
mhm,
speakers, aspiring speakers. And what I mean by that is foundational principles. So, not for the speaker that's already making $100,000 a year, that feels like they already have their brand figured out and all this.
mhm,
My programs are for aspiring speakers who are trying to find their stage, who are trying to craft their message, who are trying to find their way in the industry, but also don't want to be flipped around for free all the time. They want to make a lucrative speaking career out
mhm.
of it. So to align them with paid stages that honor the value that they bring, but also give them the opportunity to add value. So that is how my platform was born.
And I like the fact that it's for aspiring speakers because sometimes a person might want to speak, but they don't even know where to start,
Right.
or they have a story. Others, let me rephrase, others know they have a story, but sometimes people can take for granted the things that they've gone through. And when they tell someone, everyone else is like, you need to be sharing your story. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure that you come across clients where they have stories, but they also have trauma. And so as you are coaching them and guiding them to craft their story, own their story, etc., how do you guide those types of clients through trauma while still ensuring that they feel safe and empowered throughout the process.
And making the same recommendations to
Mhm,
them that were made to me. And that is, there's nothing wrong with getting professional help. There's nothing wrong with going out and getting you someone that you can speak to who is unbiased, who can hear you out. Because sometimes people just need to be heard. Sometimes you've been walking around carrying stuff, like I said earlier, stuff that does not serve you. You're
mhm,
holding on to things, childhood trauma, childhood sexual abuse, molestation, things that have shaped and made you feel unworthy, counted you out. And so you've coined yourself that way too. So when you come and you work directly with me, I'm aware and I'm hyper aware of the fact that people come from a place. So I'm always encouraging self development. I'm always encouraging doing whatever's necessary to heal the places that are broken. And that starts with you,
mhm,
first of all, owning it. You have to own the fact that something actually, you can't live in denial and expect to be able to help other people. You got to come
mhm,
out with it and be sensitive not to speak on things that you haven't healed from. If you have not done the process of getting the work done necessary to be able to heal from whatever that adversity is, do not
mhm,
share it just yet. Wait until you've actually done the work and you've poured into you and got you into a place where you are healed and you are whole. And now you can go and share with the world what
mhm.
it is that you have to say. I've seen too many broken people sharing with other broken people, and it just doesn't work. The Bible puts
That's
it this
right.
way: can the blind lead the blind lest they both fall in a ditch? Now, listen,
Mhm.
I'm not trying to fall in no ditches and I'm not trying to lead you to no ditch. So I need you to get your healing today. You
That's
know what I'm
right.
saying? So we can help change and shape the world and make it better because we want to add to it. We want to be the salt of the earth. We don't want to take away from it. So,
Mhm. And one thing that I love is that while you do your speaking, you also have healed through the form of writing.
oh yeah.
And so when you go back and you think about that process and that decision that it took to write your memoir and how you have certainly defied the odds with everything in your life, take us to that process of what sparked you to say, yes, I have this platform of speaking. Yes, people hear my voice, but I need to put pen to paper, write it out, and just not stop it there. Don't just keep it as a personal journal, but my words in print need to be shared with the world.
Mm.
Take us about that process and how that could have been a bit healing for you.
Ooh. Not only was that process healing for me, but it gave me the opportunity to say my side of things.
Mm,
And everybody has a perspective,
mhm,
but in my book, Defy the Odds, that's my perspective. And that's me owning every fall, every setback, every adversity, and everything that came up against me to try to keep me from becoming her,
mm,
even me. And so it was an opportunity for me to peel back the covers a bit and really like show forth what it means to be unashamed of your journey.
mm,
And so I didn't have to be ashamed anymore because courage came. But I also had people, once again, people would hear bits of my story and they'd be like, you need to tell that. And I would
mm,
get it over and over and over and over again. And I always shunned it. For like the first 4 years before I wrote my book, I shunned every person that came up to me and told me that I should have wrote a book, that it should have been. And now it's in thousands of people's hands.
mm.
Thousands of people have read my story.
What caused you to want to shun them?
I felt like it was too much private stuff and people didn't need to know my business.
Oh,
I felt like people didn't
mm,
know, I like them to see me as the masked up fake one, that I
mm,
was presenting to the world. I wanted people to see me, the well put together Arletta, not the one, who was a 15-year-old prostitute. I didn't need them to know that. I
mm,
didn't need them to know, that I almost died on the table giving birth to my first son as a 16-year-old. I didn't want them to know that I got drugged through the house in front of my kids
mhm,
and that I was showing up in church together. And life was breaking behind closed doors.
Mm,
I didn't want I didn't want people to know that the fullness of the price I paid to become her.
mm,
And so um the more I shared, the more I started to realize that people need people
mm,
sometimes to find the courage to break free from where they are too.
mhm.
And if I could get the emphasis off of me and feel like I was doing it for somebody else, that gave me that gave me the courage to do it,
Mm.
to write the story plain, because I stopped thinking about me and I started thinking about all the people I could help.
How did that 16-year-old girl show up in the process of your writing?
She's all up and through there.
Mm,
She's still there. You know,
mm.
I've released three books, all bestsellers since releasing them. And I'm working on my
Congratulations.
fourth now. Thank you so
Mhm.
much. And the book I'm working on now is called Baby Let Me Tell You. And it's all about my mother's wisdom. So I told you that I watched my mom get beat profusely by my
Yeah.
father. And what I didn't tell you was that my father, he passed away about 13 years ago at the age of 49 from lymphoma cancer. So
Wow.
I also watched my father die a horrible death. And I was one of the last faces he saw, with only the ability to blink his eyes to respond to me, to let me know to let him know that I have forgiven him for everything.
Mm,
And I walked through so many topics in Defy the Odds, like from grief to knowing you, to owning you, to loving you, to believing in yourself, to finding confidence to be and do the things, the dreams, the hopes that are inside of you, to step out in purpose, on purpose, and also letting go of the baggage that's holding you back. All the
mhm.
things. It was like my tell-all. And so now this book is all about the things that my mama stopped me in my tracks and she told me to help me keep going while I was on a journey. My mama
Mm,
never told me, I told you so. Because my mama would always warn me, he ain't no good. That's not the one. He ain't it. That's not it. And I just be like, Mama, I love him. I
mm.
love him. You know? And my mama would be like, mm-mm-mm. But then when I would break open her doors and come running to her with tears in my face and barely have the strength to stand on my feet, I just break down to my knees wailing,
Mm,
just weeping at my mama's feet. My mama would simply pat the couch and basically
mm.
beckon me to come and sit next to her and say, baby, let me tell you.
Wow. I
And she
love
would pour wisdom into me. And that's where the title came from, because it's all the wisdom she poured into me. Never telling me I told you so, but always giving me references and quotes to help me understand that this may be where I am, but it's not the final say. It's not where I will be.
It's not at all. And this is definitely not the final say at all in your life. And if somebody is listening or watching this and say, you know what, I'm ready to share my story, I think that Arletta would really be the right person for me, or I want to learn more about her, or I'd love to have her come and speak. How can people connect with you and get your books? How can they
Oh,
do that too?
okay. Well, I'm very, very easy to find on every social platform, from Instagram to Facebook to YouTube to LinkedIn. Everything is Arletta Allen Inspires. So it's very, very easy to find me. You can also visit my website, just for speaking engagements, and also to get my book at www.arlettaallen.com. Very easy, easy peasy. And then
Exactly.
for coaching services, it's authenticallyamplified.com. So
And
authenticallyamplified.com.
thank you. And I'll have all of those sites up there. And as we come to a close here, thinking about gratitude
Mm.
and how gratitude has played such a pivotal part in your life, in your journey of transformation and empowerment. What are you most grateful for about your experiences and how they've shaped you to be who you are today?
I'm grateful for being able to reflect and be grateful for all the things I endured. Because sometimes when you're in the midst of the storm, you can't see how those things are going to be happening for you. But everything, my 43-year-old self look back today, and I know that everything that I thought happened to me happened for me.
Hmm.
And I became her on purpose, with purpose. And now I can help others to become themselves too, unapologetically. And I'm grateful that God chose me
Hmm.
because he could have used anybody, but he chose me. And there's just no words for that.
And for the person out there who says, this sounds good and well, but I'm going through so much trauma right now, and I don't even know how to get out. Maybe they are being abused. Maybe they're going through a life of prostitution. Maybe they have children that they don't know how in the world am I going to feed them. What word of hope would you give them to let them know that it is possible for
Mm.
their lives to turn around? What would you say to the person whose hope is pretty much gone?
Being one that has felt worthless and felt like I wasn't worthy of the many blessings that God has bestowed upon me, I would say to them that if God could use me, he can use anybody. And that they're no different. That although sometimes you can look in the mirror and not see the value in you, there's somebody out there who's simply somewhere waiting on your arrival. And so I would advise you to do like I do every day, even up until this day. Wake up with a mind to choose you. For the first time in your life, choose you. Because you don't need other people's validation to become. You don't need other people's validation to tell you when it's time to get out of that bad relationship. You just simply need to choose you. And when you
Mm,
choose you, then you start to make choices that align with what it looks like to choose the best version of you. Because you know there's something happening on the inside of you where you know that there has to be more. It happened to me too. There has to be more than what I see. There has to be more resources than what I have in my grasp. There has to be more. My suggestion: venture out, explore,
mm.
leap, dream bigger, choose you. Because that's what it took for me to break through.
And I am thankful, and the world is thankful that you chose you, Arletta, because if you hadn't, we wouldn't have your voice and lives wouldn't be changed at the capacity that they are. And I thank you for gracing us with your presence here on the Power Transformation Podcast and continue showing up authentically, resiliently, and beyond in truly transforming the scope and the path of this world. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Power Transformation Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow or subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and write a review. It helps us inspire even more listeners. And don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who could use a little power in their transformation. Until next time, keep bouncing back, keep rising, and be good to yourself and to others.